Guys, today I've got an interesting one for you. We're gonna test Corrosion versus Ice Blast in the Temporal Vortex. Now, we're gonna have quite a few different teams in here, and of course, we're gonna test them on the highest difficulty. We're gonna have the exact same Psychic Core for everything, right? This is the right elemental affinity anyway. We're gonna have pretty much the same gear sets, and I'm gonna show you guys a variety of teams, because some of you might be like, well, I have Beldele the exclusive. Some of you will be like, well, I have Rook the exclusive. Which one is better? Some of you will be like, I've got no exclusive. What should I do? Some of you guys will be like, well, I've got no legendaries from the Ice Blast or from the Corrosion. Which one of them should I build? So I'm going to share with you guys quite a few different teams. Now, the main thing that we will do is basically have the same gear on everybody. Some of the artifacts will be different because Ice Blast requires an artifact that boosts the damage on the battle skill rather than the ultimate skill. So we're going to use the Manticore, but it pretty much does the same thing like the Eyeball of the Giant as an idea. We're going to use two support heroes, Frorbart and Fenja, in every single team with the exact same skill timing. How you may notice, the gear is going to be pretty much the same on this Corrosion team, is going to be pretty much on this Ice Blast team, and on every single one of them. Basically, I just put the same gear on all of them. Now, when I'm changing from legendaries to epics, of course, I'm going to get a better gear that was equipped on the legendaries and put it on the respective epics of each one of the elements, just to kind of like reflect better their full potential, you know. And in terms of skill timing, that's pretty much how it goes. It will be different for all of the damage dealers in every single team because they require different things. The main thing that matters is the survivability, and that will be the same. Third bar 21.5 to 20. Now, Corrosion needs to have a bit of a different timing in terms of the damage dealers because we have, of course, him that has this skill that's super slow, you know, so it needs a few seconds to kind of like go on. It's all about the animations, you know, but the rest, how you may notice, will have the same cup of tea. So let's start with the very first one, which is Ice Blast with the exclusive Beldele. What can they actually do? We will position all of the characters in the exact same way because the gear sets that we have on will basically give us a bit of extra defense from Frorbart. We will use wherever aura we have available. Usually only the exclusive, they have the auras for these teams, if I'm not mistaken. So for the rest, we're going to have to use basically the aura from Fenja, but that doesn't matter. Let's crack on with it. I'm quickly going to make a short commentary on each one of the teams to kind of like give you guys pros and cons. Then I'm going to share with you the final result to kind of like have a better understanding of what's happening in here. So, Beldele, she is insane. Ice Blast was introduced in Dragonheir Silent Gods in Season 2, guys. And yeah, she was definitely the Mera in Season 2. But she wasn't coming anywhere closer to the numbers that Corrosion deals in Season 3. You know, it's kind of like a massive difference. Now, I was actually kind of like expecting this. Unfortunately, we do have Gertin, who's going to take the single hit because of the artifact that she has on that really increases her HP by quite a bit. It's fine, it doesn't matter. We will have fun in quite a few different teams, and probably just to kind of like make it fair play, I might stop the run at 5 minutes to be more precise, you know, and like that we can see what they're doing, or I'm gonna let it go up to 7 minutes or 8 minutes, depending on how the survivability looks like. Considering that the boss puts defense down on my champions, you know, on my heroes, probably we're not going to get to survive all the way to like 8 minutes, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it and see how it goes. So far, we are at 9 million damage in less than 1 minute and 30 seconds, which honestly is pretty damn nuts. Beldele, she has 5 million already, Gertin 3.7, and we have Sheena with 1.4. Now, Sheena is the best activator for Ice Blast heroes, guys. If you don't have Sheena as a legendary, Bladin comes in play as the second best option. He is another epic hero, you know, but I'm gonna let it fly from here. Right, guys, so I think 6 minutes is a very sweet spot to stop it at, because from here on, it tends to get a bit dangerous, right? I don't have insane support to keep my team alive, and I want to make sure everybody's kind of like on playing equal field, basically, you know. And here we have Beldele with 27 million damage out of the 55 that Ice Blast dealt. Gurtin with 19.2 million damage. So overall, the damage is pretty good. Then you have Sheena with 7 million damage. It's not a bad damage whatsoever, right? Now, if we're gonna move over to Corrosion, guys, let me just quickly bring on the gear to them. Basically, the gear from Beldele comes to Rook, the gear from Gurtin comes to Dargo, and the gear from Sheena comes to Whisk. Whisk is a pretty good enabler as well because he has a 7 times hitter skill, actually. So we're going to be able to ensure that we are landing the defense down. Same skill timing that we had before. Of course, how I mentioned, Corrosion needs a slightly different timing than Ice Blast for the damage dealers. Let's put this positioning right here, and we have pretty much the same sort of aura from Rook. Now, with Corrosion, guys, I feel like the quality of the epics and the rares is very similar with the quality that we have for the Ice Blast, okay? Maybe, yeah, I feel like definitely not underwhelming. The only problem is, in my opinion, that if you are missing Rook, for example, or you're missing Sabrina, or you're missing Whisk, it's much harder for you to get some solid results, unlike the Ice Blast. Ice Blast is absolutely melting bosses, regardless of what combination you're doing. You have Seidik, an epic character, which is awesome. You have Bladin, you have Nord, the rare, you have Gurtin, and without having any other legendaries, they're still very, very effective against pretty much everything. Like, personally, I used to run in Season 2 for my Vortex team, Ice Blast. Was Gurtin, the epic character, with Bladin for a while, then I got Sheena, and Zorak, which is another legendary, but I quickly dropped Zorak out of the team to bring in more support. So I had 3 supports, 2 damage dealers, and I was dealing sometimes 100 million damage in Season 2 with the epic hero, not even the legendary. So overall, I do think that Ice Blast is more well balanced and more usable in most of the content, and I feel like it will give you more value in general if you don't have the big boy heroes. But that's what we are actually testing right here. And Corrosion has quite a few good enablers, but not as many powerful damage dealers. It's Rook and it's Sabrina that can put in some serious work. But check that out, 18 million damage in 1 minute and 30 seconds. We are quite a bit over what we had with the previous team. Plus, this will just go higher and higher. So here we are, guys, 6 minutes on the dot from the Corrosion team. And I gotta say it, man, it's quite a bit of a difference. Quite a bit of a difference. 98.8 million damage, guys. 98.8. So that is very impressive. I mean, it almost doubles the damage from the Ice Blast. That just shows you how powerful this team is. But the main thing that you kind of like need to pay attention to as well is that if you're looking at the rest of the damage dealers that we have in the team, right? So we have Dargo with 15 million damage. We have Whisk with 7 million damage. And then you have, of course, Rook with 75 million damage. Is a very, very impressive damage. And it just shows you that if you paid attention to the Ice Blast team that we had before on the screen, you're going to notice that Gurtin, she was doing a very impressive amount of damage herself too. Unlike this epic and the side legendary that we have on the team. But either way, if you got a Rook, you're in to something good. Personally, I do have one, and yeah, my team is doing over 130 million damage without even having a bonus to actually benefit the team, you know. So it's definitely very, very solid. But let's try it out now without having any exclusives in the team. Now we're gonna go back to Ice Blast, guys, but this time around we're not going to have Beldele, so we have Nord as a replacement. The reason why I'm doing it is because the next Corrosion team that we have, it will be with a rare character as well, which is Sabrina. These are the only rares for Ice Blast and for Corrosion, guys, but Sabrina is the next best thing after Rook, basically, for the Corrosion team. So I kind of like want to make sure we are testing the things properly and give you guys some ideas of what might work for you or what might not. So that's what we have right here in terms of builds. Now, Gertin, this time around, has the build from Beldele, so she should have more crit damage and overall deal more damage than she was doing before. And Sabrina will have the gear from Rook in the next round. Skill timing, pretty much spot on. And again, I will stop it at exactly 6 minutes. Now, this time around, we cannot use a different aura. We only have the Enlightenment aura for the healers. So that's how it will be from here on for all of the rest of the teams, because we don't have the exclusives anymore. Now, I'm not going to walk you through this run, guys, because it's pretty much the same thing. What I'm going to do is stop it exactly at 6 minutes again and see how well they perform, because Nord and Gertin, they will be putting in some serious numbers. Of course, Gertin, she will be going on pretty ham. So this is Ice Blast, guys, without having any of the exclusives. So no Beldele, basically, and the damage is still super solid. How I mentioned, I do think that these epics from the Ice Blast are top notch. You got 40.3 million damage in exactly 6 minutes. Now, if you're checking the damage, you see you have Gertin with 51.4, 20 million damage. Then you have Nord with 30.2 at 12 million damage. And you have Sheena, the enabler, basically at 6.2 million damage. So overall is a very, very impressive damage. And you could actually even increase this damage furthermore by replacing Nord and bring in Sadik, which is the other epic damage dealer from the Ice Blast, So probably this damage could go up by like 5 more million if you're using using Sadik instead of Nord. Now, time to bring in the Corrosion without having Rook in there and see how well this team can actually perform, because I'm very, very curious to see the difference with the Ice Blast, right? So the skill timing, guys, identical more or less. Then you have the gear is pretty much the same thing. We're just moving it from hero to hero. Sabrina has the gear that Rook had before, and yeah, let's see how well this team will actually perform. So let me just quickly put them on here to make sure they are getting their stats. And the main difference is that either though Sabrina can be pretty interesting with her passive, I do think that is a massive difference from her to Rook. Now, it's not a massive difference from Beldele to Gertin, right? And that's what the heroes in Season 3 are lacking. Having the epics that can, in a way or another, be the copies of the legendaries just in weaker status, So it will be quite a bit of a difference, So we have, of course, Whisk pulling their defense down, increasing the corrosion. Then Sabrina, whenever she's using a skill, she's basically going to activate 25% of that corrosion that is on the target, guys. So I'm gonna let it play from here, stop it at 6 minutes, and see what this team can actually do. So here we are, guys, 6 minutes in with the Corrosion team. So we got 27.7 million damage. The Ice Blast without the exclusive dealt 40 plus million damage. So you see how the wheel just spinned around? Before, when we had Rook in, that team was almost 100% more powerful than the Ice Blast with Beldele, right? The damage went to almost 100 million. Now that we took the exclusives out, right, the wheel spin. Basically, Ice Blast is almost 100% more powerful than this one. Not really so much, not really 100%, but definitely quite a bit of a difference in here. And I have Dargo with 11 million. We have Sabrina with 10. The reason why Dargo dealt more damage than Sabrina is because Sabrina had the Eyeball of the Giant. Dargo had, of course, the different artifact, the Rivatrix Root. So that overall will make him deal more damage. But you want him to deal a lot of damage to put higher corrosion on the boss, so then Sabrina can activate more. But that's how this team looks without the exclusives. Now it's time to see how Ice Blast and Corrosion perform without any legendary heroes whatsoever. So we're heading back at Ice Blast. This time around we removed Sheena, we brought in Bladin. Bladin is a pretty good activator. Then we have Nord, who's gonna be a pretty good activator as well to basically enable Gertin to deal a good amount of damage. They have pretty much the same artifacts as they had before. Of course, this time around, Bladin is going to be the defense down champion because he actually has multiple hits, triple hitter on the boss. Skill timing, pretty much the same cup of tea. That's what we need for the Ice Blast. We don't need to have a bigger gap in between the skills like for the Corrosion. But let's quickly organize them right here at the front and see what exactly is going to happen. Now, I could use an HP aura here, which won't really make a difference, but there's really no point to do it. And yes, Ice Blast requires enablers. Every single elemental affinity, every single type of damage dealers will require some sort of a enabler from that respective school of damage, so it works the same for Wild, Dauntless, etc. That's why it's important to ensure that you are basically creating a team that has a good synergy. But I'm gonna catch you all guys in just a minute where we're gonna see the total damage. So here we are with the Ice Blast, guys, without legendary heroes. The damage is actually really impressive. How I mentioned, I was actually using something similar in Season 2, and for some of you guys, it might come as a surprise, but 34.5 million damage is actually really good. We are actually out-damaging the Corrosion with Whisk, with a legendary character in the team, right? So this it definitely says something. So there we go. We have Gertin with 21 million damage. We have Nord this time around with only 7 million damage because we don't have Sheena in the team to enable all of the Ice Blast heroes, and we have Bladin with 5.1. Overall, this is definitely a pretty solid result. Now, let's head over to the final team. So, Corrosion, no legendaries, guys. Let me just bring it in. And probably some of you guys might be wondering, Skratch, why are you not using Sacridia at all? Which is the other legendary from the Corrosion, okay? And while I do think that she's okay, she's just pretty hard to fit into a team, guys. Just kind of like to make you aware. And if you are curious who exactly I'm mentioning in here, if you're not familiar, is this one right here, guys. So basically, she is increasing the amount of corrosion that we have on targets. She's not a bad legendary. I just think it's pretty hard to fit her in the team. She's kind of like on par with Zorak in a way or another, to be honest. Like you are getting an awesome attack aura, but it's only for dungeons, so even with her in the team instead of the rare that we had before, the team won't perform better. Like, I've tried a team with her, Whisk, and Dargo, and we barely managed to get top chest, and it's just kind of like keeping in mind, Sabrina overall will actually perform a bit better, So, leaving that on the side, we have the team up and running. We are not planning to do any changes to it. Let me just quickly make sure that we are positioning the characters in the same way. We have the Enlightenment Aura, and time to crack on with this as well, guys. I will stop it at exactly 6 minutes on the dot. So here we are, guys. The final run is in the bag. Corrosion without legendaries. 6 minutes in, and we got 24.8 million damage. Not a bad damage. You got the top chest, but considering the gear that we have equipped on them, I feel like it's just not good enough. The damage is just not good enough, because by the time you get to acquire this gear during a season, you're already probably like 6 to 7 weeks into the season, and by that time you already need to basically deal damage on the Vortex, on the 4 difficulty. You need to do it daily to be able to have a decent placement on the leaderboard, and this team just won't cut it in. Okay, you won't be able to do it with Corrosion. We have 10 million from Dargo, we have 9.5 from Sabrina, and we have 3.4 from the other epic. Kind of like okayish. Now, what exactly we learned out of these guys? If you have Rook, you're spot on. The damage is off the roof, no questions asked. If you have Beldere, you're still pretty solid, but Corrosion wins over Ice Blast. Now, once you eliminate the exclusive legendaries, Ice Blast is dominating with 50+% more damage than Corrosion. As simple as that. So if you want to get a decent result, hands down, Ice Blast is the way to go. Regardless if you have legendaries from the Ice Blast or no. regardless if you have legendaries from the Corrosion or no, Ice Blast without legendaries is still out damaging the Corrosion with legendaries. So that's how much better Ice Blast is in general when we are excluding the exclusive legendary heroes, guys. And yeah, hopefully you found this helpful. I will post all of these screenshots in my Discord, so make sure you guys come in, join in my Discord, guys. And if you find the content helpful, make sure you smash a like, subscribe to the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Plus, it helps my channel quite a bit, you know. And yeah, guys, that was all for the video. Keep in mind, tomorrow is the 30th of April, and we are meant to get a new event. We are meant to get an update where, of course, the Starlight Stone Dice will give us legendary heroes. And we are getting 100 of them for free just by playing the game. This is a test server build, guys, so that's why I have so much Wire Marrow, and some of the events might look different. Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.